All right, goes the family. Welcome back to Larry's Anything Goes. Hopefully, you guys are having a great and exceptional day. Welcome to the 18th edition of today's forecast. We're all gonna die. Where I basically make fun of the media and I go from there. I keep it simple and I go from there. So, anyways, lots been happening in the world today. You know, I usually do this in the beginning of the month, so I'm not like other channels where I just jump on things immediately. And hold on, let me make sure. I look a little funny on screen, so I want to make sure I'm coming through clearly. So give me 1 second, please. All right. All right. I just want to make sure I'm coming through good. All right. My channel live. I just want to make sure I'm coming through good. All right. Testing 1, 2, 3. Channel live. I just want to make sure I'm coming through good. All right. Testing 1, 2, 3. Channel live. All right, cool. I just want to make sure I'm coming through good. All right. Testing 1, 2, 3. Channel live. All right, cool. I just want to make sure my audio was on point. I think my video is a little lagged, but it is what it is. But anyways, so the major things that have happened is Donald Trump gets convicted. I don't care if you like Donald Trump or not. I'm not on any sides. I used to be very big into politics, not anymore. Because I always say I'm a grown man. If I don't hear money being talked about and me getting access to capital, then we have nothing to discuss at this point in my life, because everything revolves around the dollar in a capitalist society. So regardless who's in the White House, governor's house, or mayor's house, I always say, look at it from people who immigrate to the United States of America, whether it's legally or illegally. For the most part, people about business. So whether they can vote or not, they're going to make moves. And I always say, you have to operate in this country, no matter what city or state that you live in. One, when it comes to real politics is local. You get the locals' attentions, then you get the people that's in the Congress attention. That's number one. But then number two, if you can put yourself in a position where the amount of money you can put on a check is more powerful than the vote that you cast, meaning it's bigger. In regards to if you're able to write a bigger check, then you're going to be able to make more noise than you can in regards to casting a vote and having a bumper sticker and going and screaming at a rally. But that's just my personal opinion. But whoever you want to vote for, you don't want to vote for, don't really care. At this point, I just don't care. I'm not voting, so that's why I don't have an opinion. So if you're going to vote, vote. You don't vote, don't care. Either way, I always tell you, I only argue over two things in this life: money and my life, meaning somebody's trying to kill me or somebody mess with my money. So if we're not talking about that, then there's no reason for us to argue. Or if you're going to give me good information on the best investments to make in this life, that's something to talk about. But outside of that, I'm not going to argue about anything else, because that's just a waste of my time. But anyways, let's get down to Sean Puffy Diddy Combs. Deplorable what we saw in the video in regards to him slapping his former woman up. Diddy's always had issues. People know, heck, most of these celebrities have issues. It's just, like I said, we live in an age where more and more things get captured. Imagine the things that took place in Hollywood that wasn't photographed, it wasn't recorded and things of that nature. And I heard in regards to the hotel situation, he paid people there to get the footage of what happened. And the idiot that he is, P. Diddy, for one, being an idiot for doing this to a woman, two, being an idiot for keeping this allegedly, what's been said is that he kept the footage, he paid for this footage, he kept the footage, and law enforcement authorities found this footage when they raided his house. So if you were dumb enough to do it, then you were like, okay, well, let me try to hide this situation. Then I'm thinking to myself, well, why didn't you just destroy the evidence? But hey, what you do in the dark eventually does come to light. So that's the stupidity of P. Diddy, amongst other things. And unfortunately, like I said, Kim Porter had to live with this. And the world of Hollywood is a fickle place. It's an interesting place, and these things happen. Most 9 times out of 10, I know that these things happen more than they are actually reported, put out. People get paid off. People have non-disclosure agreements. It's a whole crazy situation. So either way, I'm not for it. I don't agree with it, and I'll leave it at that. So, but the aspects of it that I make fun of this, I'm not making fun of anybody in a domestic violence situation. But number one, does the Diddy situation really have an effect on everyday working people's lives? For me, I say no, but maybe for other people, maybe so. It's wrong either way, because unfortunately these horrific domestic violence situations take place all the time. They're just not. And I'm, like I said, once again, I'm not for men hitting women. I'm not for domestic violence on any level, on verbal abuse. Period. Men or women, I'm not with it. I mean, I don't do drama. I do business. That's what my T-shirt says that I sell. I don't do drama. So I don't care how beautiful somebody is. I don't care how much money they are. Nobody is worth your peace. Always remember that. I'm not even going to act like I'm a relationship guru, but nobody's worth your peace. If people screw with your peace and your happiness, I don't care how sexy somebody is. I don't care how rich somebody is. You can't put a price tag on your peace. Okay. For some people, peace is being alone. And there's nothing wrong with that either. This whole I have to be in a relationship, I have to be married, I have to have this. You have to be happy first, and you have to have peace first. But a lot of times people trade that in because they have to have the title of a wife or a husband. They have to have a title of a parent. They have to have a title of a boyfriend or a girlfriend, because they want to be in the club. Because a lot of times, as I always quote my former coworker, a lot of people don't evolve past high school. And in a sense, we really don't. If you think about it, when people go to a specific college, or they were in the military, or if they get married, or if they become a parent, they only want to connect with those kind of circles. Me, I've always been the exact opposite. That's why I was always considered, quote unquote, the weirdo, quote unquote, the eccentric person in high school, because I didn't mind hanging out with anybody as long as you was a decent person. So, my crews, we had the wannabe gangsters of all races. You had the preps of all, because I went to a mixed high school in Woodbridge, Virginia. So you had the people who were considered the preppy kids. You had the people considered the wannabe thugs, the wannabe gangbangers, the jocks, the cheerleaders. My mindset was always, hey, if you're cool, I'm cool with you. And that's my philosophy to this day. Right now, if you're a good person, I can rock with you. If you're a piece of crap, then I can't rock with you. That's just what it is. Regardless of how good you look, regardless of how much money you have, unless if you have money to the point where it's like, hey, you're going to teach me something that's worth my time for me to learn about, then that's a different story, so that I can make moves on my own, then that's different. But if you're going to bring my vibe down, if you're going to suck me dry like a tick, if you're going to take, mess with my peace, and if you're not trying to even engage in intellectual conversations, what is the point of me really being around you? But a lot of people, they want to be, they need to feel like they're in a certain class. Like, like as an adult, I noticed if you didn't go to this specific school, if you're not a parent, if you're not a spouse, if you didn't go, if you weren't in the military, if you don't make a certain income, people will not rock with you. People will not engage with you. And like I said, I've never been like that. Hey, what are you about? What are your values about? Are you a decent person? Are you about something? That's the main thing. Because all the money in the people, you have people who are trust fund babies that ain't worth crap. So it's like all the money in the world doesn't mean anything if you're not about anything. That's why I like going to events like the EYL University event that I'm going to in Atlanta at the end of August. So they just put the bill out. T.I. will be there. Robert F. Smith will be there, and amongst others, celebrities and millionaires and billionaires. And I like to rock with that circle and that vibe. One, I love going to the South. More and more, I love going to the deep South and the West Coast more, because I just love the laid back energy of people, and how people just seem a little bit more friendlier and happier regardless of their income status. But then another thing to add on to that is that I like being around like-minded people. My mindset is this, man, woman, whatever your race is, if you're about business and about investments, if you're about learning and earning and making things happen, then you're a good person in my book, as long as you're not like a molester or a serial killer and things of that nature. Any other aspects of your life that you have going on, as long as it's not illegal and not crazy, I'm good. I'm cool with you. And if you're a decent person, you have a little bit of humbleness to you, then I can rock with you. But if you don't fall into that category, then there's really no other reason for me to associate with you, because people, people's vibes and energy can suck you dry like a tick. It might not suck the blood out of you, but they'll suck the positivity out of you. Very easy. They're always talking about something sad. They're always talking about something negative. If everything just sucks. My old saying has always been since my 20s, and I'll say it now. If it's that bad, get the gun, get it over with, because I do not like hearing grown-up complain. All right, out of my system. But either way, with the whole situation with Diddy, not for it. And, hey, he might end up like Russell Simmons, living in Bali somewhere, making yoga videos every day. Who knows? That might be the path for Diddy. I don't see him really coming back from this in regards to people wanting to work with him, because his name's has always been a little tarnished, but now it's completely tarnished in regards to the situation. So because I remember his name was always tarnished for doing crazy things. There's always been stories. There just wasn't much physical evidence in regards to it was just always people talking about what he used to do. And a lot of people would always get on him about the contracts that he had with the Locks and various other artists. And I always say this. I can't get mad at a business person, and this is not just Diddy, this is just talking, period, for making a deal that benefits them more than it does the other person. Okay. My favorite saying from this movie called Rising Sun, it was starring Wesley Snipes and Sean Connery, and it was a Japanese corporation trying to buy a product that was basically created by a government contractor. And Congress, this is all hypothetical, and Congress within the movie had to place a vote, just like they're trying to vote to get rid of TikTok right now, so I can compare it to something. Congress in the movie was trying to vote to say no on the sale of this corporation, corporation that was dealing with, in a sense, I believe it was like missile defense and satellite defense, and this is back in the 1990s, so you can imagine the technology. And it made sense saying, hey, having a foreign corporation having this much power over an American product that deals with specific warfare and technologies that could harm the United States, it was definitely understood. And they, in the Japanese corporation, ended up blackmailing a congressman who was going to vote against the sale of this specific corporation to this Japanese company, until one of the people within the Japanese corporation found out that this senator was having an affair on his wife and things of that nature. They had, actual photographs of this man doing that. So with that being said, he was changing his vote to vote yes for the sale of the corporation so that he could keep his dignity, his name, and his position in Congress. All right. But moral of the story is, no, you're in business. You have to know business. You have to learn business. And I know that the Locks were younger at the time, bona fide street dudes, did not understand the music industry. They signed contracts, and they didn't have the right lawyers to help them with the contracts and go from there. Ice Cube, always say it, give him credit. Ice Cube from NWA, businessman since day one. Okay, he was fresh out of high school when he got into NWA, and he was smart enough to have the mental fortitude to know, hey, I don't understand what's in this contract, so I have to have if you go to the scene, I'm sure there was more to it than that scene from the movie Straight Outta Compton. He was a young person, and Jerry Heller allegedly knew that he could take advantage of these kids because they didn't know anything. The guy Alonzo, if you remember the guy Alonzo from the movie, he's the one that was with Dr. Dre and DJ Yella and NWA. But anyways, long story short, and Alonzo said on record, I'm quoting what Alonzo said. He said, Jerry Heller didn't like me around NWA because he knew that I've been through the music business before, and he couldn't screw me around. He couldn't tell me something, and he couldn't tell me that it's raining on me when really somebody's peeing on me. He's like, I knew the music business. I've had friends who were entertainment attorneys and lawyers, so he didn't want to mess with me. He didn't like me around NWA because he knew I would have pointed out the nonsense that he was doing to these guys. Okay, from a contractual standpoint. And it's the same thing, like I said, with Ice Cube was smart enough to say, hey, I don't know what this contract means. Therefore, I'm not signing something I don't understand. I can read it all day. I'm not going to understand it. I have to take this to a lawyer. And the guy says, hey, if you don't sign it now, then that means you're out the group. He said, forget it, I'm out. He said, everybody else in the group signed it because they were desperate. Ice Cube's like, look, I know I got something. I'm not going to get screwed. And a lot of them ended up getting screwed on those deals because they didn't understand the music business at the time. Even a lot of young people to this day, they get screwed because they don't understand the music business. So, and any business you go into, you got to at least get the one-on-one aspects of it. And when it comes to, and in 2024, let's just be realistic. There's enough information out there, even for a young person to look up on the YouTube or Spotify or wherever, to say, hey, this is how the music business is. This is how the general contract is. If you want it to benefit you, you have to get the right lawyer to help negotiate the deal. And then two, you have to have some level of understanding all at the same time. Same thing in sports and any other aspect of entertainment. That's why they like to get them young and dumb so they can take advantage of them. Hey, capitalism, system of winners and losers. Actually, your everyday working person, for the most part, they've been losing for a minute because because of one, inflation, but two, because their income hasn't increased, and then three, because their value hasn't increased, and then four, because they got comfortable. I always say, I don't like being around a Leave It to Beaver, Brady Bunch minded people that just want to have a job and have a 401k and die. That is a dying strategy, and more working people can't comprehend it? Who cares about who's in office if you can't pay your bills? Who cares about your favorite football team winning if you can't pay your bills? Who cares about the next video game coming out if you can't pay your bills? That's why we say make money moves or you're gonna broke like a fool. Because if the majority of the moves you're making in life is involving you being entertained, getting high, and getting drunk, then most likely you're going to lose this thing called capitalism, regardless if Trump or Biden or whoever is in the freaking White House. It is what it is, okay? It is what it is, because the way you win is you got to understand the economics before everything else. But what do I know? That's all I always say. I'm just like, whatever. I'm going to do me, you do you, and this life is just going to keep on trucking along as we truck along. So, it is what it is. All right, so that's the first edition of today's forecast. We're all going to die. Now let's get into the Donald Trump situation. Remember, don't care if you're a Trump supporter. Don't care if you're not a Trump supporter. I don't support anybody because I'm just supporting me. So remember that before anybody wants to get in the comments and start talking negative, because I'm just telling you, I'm not even voting. So there's no point of you arguing with a person who's not participating in the process because he doesn't believe in the aspects of the issues that are being talked about. All right. So okay, let's get into this. And the funny thing is, they said even with the conviction, it hasn't really affected his poll numbers and whatnot, as far from a negative aspect. But yes, he has been. Let's see. There's so many. When you look up stuff on Donald Trump, there's so much stuff. Convicted. There we go. There we go. Alrighty. Okay, so he's been convicted of quote unquote financial frauds, and he can't appeal the conviction until after the sentencing. I think that's supposed to happen in I believe July. And the legal system, regardless of the situation, but he was found guilty on 34 counts, and I'm reading this verbatim. And once again, don't care if you're a supporter or not a supporter. We don't do politics here, we do economics. But anyways, former President Donald Trump was found guilty of 34 counts of falsifying business records on Thursday. But that will not stop him from being able to run for the election in November. And the case is not over yet. He is scheduled to be sentenced on July 1st. July 11th, just days before the Republican National Convention, where he is expected to become the official Republican nominee for president. So the main reason why I'm talking about this is because I think more and more working Americans, and this is just my personal opinion, need to operate like they cannot vote. So if Biden stays in office, what are we going to do next? From an economic standpoint, especially you and your circle and your family. If you're not operating like a corporation, then you might as well be a lone wolf in this economy right now. And yesterday's economy, today's economy, and tomorrow's economy. All right. If Donald Trump gets reelected, what are we going to do financially? What's the business plan for the family, the friends, and the circle? How are we getting things done? Let's not cry after the election day in November. Me personally, whatever happens, I'm either trying to make a move from a financial standpoint, or I'll be get on a plane somewhere to have a good time and to do what I got to do. My life will go on. Your life will go on. That's what it's going to be. If people who can't legally vote in this country, whether they're here as a legal resident or an illegal immigrant, can build businesses, buy real estate, make moves, and have investments, it doesn't need to be the end of the world if Donald Trump becomes the president again or if Joe Biden stays president. I can't answer that question, because that lets me know that you have too much time on your hands if you're worrying about these rich people that are in office or running for office. Okay? Too much time on your hands. So I'll leave it at that. That's all I really had to say in regards to today's news. Those are the big things that have come out. But I'll leave you with this. Stay focused. Get your economic tribe. Because in this economy, that's the only really way you're going to thrive and stay alive. It's like I have neighbors. They get on my nerves. It's like it's the row house. Okay, in most working middle class neighborhoods, that's how it is. It's a row house. Okay, excuse me. One thing I can say is that the guy who owns the place, he has two businesses. He doesn't have to pay Everybody that lives in this house is probably 2 to 3 families that come and go on a regular basis. Because I've had a conversation with him one day. I thought one of his kids was ringing my doorbell and running away, but it was actually the other neighbor, so he helped me out. So I didn't have an issue with it. Got 1,000 cars. Everybody within that house, when something breaks down, they're working on that house. Okay, he doesn't have to pay. Only bills, like the mortgage, gets paid by the people who rent out the rooms. All right, he allows people to store stuff on his property. He charges them a fee. Okay, he works his businesses. Everybody in the house, for the most part, has a job. If it's not a job outside the house, it's a job inside the house. As ghetto as that house looks on the whole block that I live on, that family is operating like an economic corporation. It's a Hispanic family. I believe they're from El Salvador. And I always say, most regular working Americans, okay, have to start operating like this in order for them to be able to not just survive, but to thrive. Ergo, or i.e., be able to buy a house, because a house is so expensive. Purchasing a home is so expensive nowadays. That's number one. Then number two, be able to buy other assets like cryptocurrencies, bonds, stocks, have additional retirement savings like IRAs, individual retirement accounts, Roth IRAs, regular IRAs, annuities, things of that nature, life insurance policies, whole life insurance policies, to be able to even afford these things, and keep your debts down as much as possible, not having a high overpriced car payment. It's just for the regular working people. The people that are making millions of dollars a year, it's a different story, because for regular working people, you got to be put in a position to where you can have as many credit cards as possible for it when an emergency happens, because they do. Then, of course, get cashback awards on those credit cards, get air miles if you like to travel like me, and get other percentages off when you go shopping at certain places, and then just having access to capital, and then put yourself in a position to where you can save more money for a rainy day fund, or if you need to sell off specific stocks or things of that nature, because life happens. But if you're still the mindset, look, this is the half of the year 2024 is over with. We're going into 2025. So half of the year is over with. So what are we going to do? What are you about? And are you about implementation, or are you just a lot of talk? That's why I don't even like to go as live as much as I used to, because I have more important things I need to get done offline than I need to get done online. All right. So that's all I got to say about that. It's just about, what are you about? What do you stand for? What business do you stand on? All right. They always say, I stand on business. Stand on business regardless of who's in the freaking White House, regardless of who's in that state house, regardless of who's in Congress, regardless of who's in the mayor's house, city council. Stand on it. Everybody needs to be operating like people who cannot vote. That needs to be the last worry on your mind. Stop watching the freaking news, because all the propaganda is basically to always scare the crap out of you, whether it's Fox News or CNN. That's the beautiful thing about the United States of America. People come here and they can make moves, and they can do it regardless of who's in office. They can, whether it's they're in Utah, New Mexico, Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, the Carolinas, Georgia, Virginia, Michigan, Illinois, Ohio, they get it out the mud. They get it in regardless of the situation. Regardless, as expensive as Los Angeles is, it's expensive as freaking Seattle, Washington is, I was able to support Black-owned businesses in those cities. Okay? So if I'm able to go to these overpriced cities and these overpriced states and see people make moves, regardless of the hurdles that they have to deal with from an economic standpoint, what the hell is your excuse if you live in a cheaper state? Okay? Those are overpriced states, democratically controlled states. They get it out the mud, they get it in. Same thing in Texas. I just got back from Houston, Texas, supported Black-owned businesses. Red state, Republican state, don't matter. They're like, who cares? You're getting it in. Whether it's Gavin Newsom, Greg Abbott, we got things to do. We got real estate to buy. We got families to raise. We got money to make. Stop worrying about some freaking politicians. At this point, it's a reality TV show, and it is comical, and I laugh at it. And that's today's forecast. We're all gonna die. Do the great thing for things, like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day, and as I always say, make money moves. We're gonna live like a fool. I'm out.